Welcome back to Heroic Book Adventures. I'm Steve, and today I wanted to rank my top 25 reads of 2025. Yeah, it's a little bit late here, but better late than never. And I wanted to do this to give some recognition to these books because clearly no viewer is going to watch every single video I do. They're most likely just going to click on the ones that they've heard of or are interested in. So I think there's quite a few books here that have kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit, and but they still deserve so much recognition. So I wanted to do that in this video and go ahead and give them a ranking. So we'll start off with number 25 is Mallory from Josh Malerman. Now this is the sequel to Bird Box, which will be ranked even higher on this one. So make sure if you're going to read this, read Bird Box first. It didn't quite have the magic of the first one, which was a superb book, but is still a very worthy follow-up. So if you do end up liking Bird Box, check out Mallory as well. It was pretty good continuation of the story. Number 24 had Dragon Slayer from Rosemary Sutcliffe. And this is a retelling of the Beowulf story. So I don't know, it's kind of written in a language that's, I wouldn't say it's written for children, but it's something that like all ages can read this, where, the original Beowulf poems, that's the language it's written in is not really for everybody. So if somebody wanted to see what the Beowulf story was about, I think Rosemary Sutcliffe's version is a good way to get into it and check it out. And it makes me want to go read. She's got other, retellings of old classic stories and that I want to check out after that. This is a fun read. Number 23, Danu's Curse from Nicole Pierman. She's from She's got her own channel, which I'll of course link below to everybody. And all these books I've done video reviews on if you want to check on my channel. But for Indie Author August, um, I wanted to read this from Nicole's Bookish Nook. And, Nicole told me that her target audience is more like younger women. So even though I'm not the target demographic, I still really enjoyed this and really respected her writing skill. So if you're into Irish mythology, that kind of thing, a fantasy story set in a old Irish kind of way, this was wonderful. And I'm looking forward to reading more of hers. I'm hoping that Kevin Toll and Nicole will once again want to do Indie Author August again because I had so much fun with that. So, one of those independent authors that is certainly worth checking out, and her channel as well, Nicole's Bookish Nook. Number 22, I had White as Snow from Tanith Lee. Now, this is a retelling of both Snow White and the story of Persephone going down to Hades. So she like took those two separate stories and weaved them together and made them into her own thing. Now understand that this isn't all like Disneyed up. I mean, Tanith Lee, it's dark and erotic. So if you're okay with something like that and would like an adult themed retelling of those kinds of stories, you can't ever go wrong with Tanith Lee. So that was a really good one. Number 21, The Green Child from Herbert Reed. This is probably the most unique fantasy book I've ever read because it's kind of divided up into three parts where like the first act I would say reads like a Victorian classic. The second act is historical fiction, and then the third part is like a weird fever dream fantasy sort of thing. So if you would like to try something that moves between different genres and does it very effectively and something that will really challenge you as a reader, I thought this was a superb book. And it's Herbert Reed's only fiction book. I guess he wrote a bunch of other nonfiction. He was some kind of architectural critic or something like that, so he wrote books on this, but this was his only fiction work from 1935, and it was very interesting. If you like something different, check out The Green Child. Number 20, The Pastel City from M. John Harrison. Now, this is book one of four that are in the Vericonium series, but the other three books were written like 10 years later, and the author's writing style had really transformed and changed a lot. And personally, those other books just did not work for me. I did not like the writing style. But The Pastel City, as just a standalone on its own, was wonderful. And like a really good, really cool, interesting fantasy story. And for all of you aspiring authors, the prose in this book is magnificent. So if you ever happen to come across a copy of this one, check out The Pastel City. Number 19, Hero's Journey from Sterling E. Lanier. So this was actually a buddy read I did with Jeff's Cave of Cool Books and Captain Samuel's Sigils. We three of us read this and then had a really cool discussion on it. It had all kinds of fun. Cool guys, check them out. And if you needed a reason to read this book, okay, Homeboy Hero has a telepathic writing moose, okay? And then they got a friend, Gorm the bear here, that you can see it looks like he's playing patty cake with there. I mean, yeah. And I would say the strongest point of this book is just the setting of it, because it's set like 5,000 years in a North America post like radiological apocalypse sort of thing. So over the past 5,000 years, all of the flora and fauna have been mutated and transformed. So you get all kinds of really cool settings and creatures and things like that that have come about. So super atmospheric book. Number 18, Norse Mythology from Neil Gaiman. So this one I've got is the illustrated version. So it's got all kinds of cool pictures in it and that, pictures make every book better if you ask me. So this is his retellings of the various Old Norse stories and that. And I thought they were cool. He really, in modern language, got the point of the stories across, and also like the humor in them in that. And this was just a super fun read. I enjoyed it a lot. Number 17, The End from Kaylee Dobbs. So Kaylee too has a booktube channel, Happy Goat Horror. And if you are at all a fan of horror books or movies, go check her out, because that's her specialty. And this is a collection of short stories. I want to say there's like 5 or 6 of them in here. And if you like horror, this was a good time. I was surprised at how much I really like these. She's got a very like dark humor that probably won't work for everybody, but it absolutely worked for me. And these are just grim horror stories that were so cool. If there's any complaint I have with this, is that there wasn't enough of it. I wanted so much more. I was enjoying this. So I'll have to check out more of Kaylee's work. Superb. Number 16, Tau Zero from Paul Anderson. So this is kind of I would say borders on hard science fiction, because there's a lot of physics in it. But don't let that deter you, because it's kind of one of those things where it's like there's a paragraph or two describing the physics of what's going on, but you can just kind of just breeze through it, and it doesn't matter if you understand it or not. It doesn't affect the quality of the story. But it deals with like time dilation during space travel. So if you've ever seen the movie Interstellar, I'm willing to bet that Interstellar was kind of influenced by something like this, because uh, good science fiction is all about the concept, and the concept in this was awesome. So yeah, that was a really, really good science fiction book if you're into that sort of thing. Tau Zero. Okay, number 15, Robert E. Howard's Dark Agnes stories. So this is a collection called Sword Woman. It's got there's only 3 Dark Agnes stories that he got to write before his unfortunate passing, but they're awesome. And then they throw a couple extra filler ones in here just to make it book size or whatever. But I'm specifically talking about his 3 Dark Agnes stories. If you like the sword and sorcery, just violence, sword work sort of thing. I had a good time with this. I mean, she is just one of the coolest female characters I've ever read in fantasy. So, again, the only complaint is that the 3 stories only total like 100 pages, and then you get it and you're so invested in it, and that's all you got, unfortunately. But still, those 100 pages of Dark Agnes were super, super cool. Number 14, I got the Cherokee Trail from Louis L'Amour. I'm generally not much of a Western reader, but I was willing to read a couple of them for June on the Range event, and I like this. It was really good. And what I found unique about it is that it's got a really strong female lead character. So it's a book that I think even female readers could really get into if they wanted to try a Western. And I mentioned that in another channel, Chess is Hyperfixating, went and read it, and she said that she was really impressed with how much she enjoyed it as well too. And that's typically not her thing either. So yeah, if you wanted to try a Louis L'Amour or Western, or you're a female reader that wanted to try something like that, like the Cherokee Trail is a good one. Lucky number 13. I've got the Walking Dead graphic novels. These were fun. And again, it's all the artwork really made these. It's just a cool story and everything. I think it's called graphic novel or comic book. I don't know the proper terminology for that thing. I'm typically not into that stuff. But I love The Walking Dead, and this was super fun read. This is a compendium of them, and this is volume 1 of 4 of them. So it's 4 big books, and they're a little pricey to get a hold of them, as you'd expect. I mean, to be able to print up all that artwork and everything like that on every page, it costs some money. But if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, this was a good read. And it was different enough from the show that it still felt somewhat fresh to read it, and the characters looked different in the artwork and that. So it was just a good, easy, fun read. Number 12, The Charwoman's Shadow from Lord Dunsany. This is like very fairy tale-esque. It's kind of got a little old-timey language to it that made it feel like one of those classic nostalgic fairy tale stories. And oh, so cool. I need to read more Lord Dunsany after that. That was very, older story. I don't even remember when this came out. Yeah, 1926. So written back then, but still to this day holds up super well. If you want to try something like that, The Charwoman's Shadow, really good. Number 11, I had Douglas Niles' Moonshae trilogy. This is book 1, The Dark Walker on Moonshae. But I'm talking about the whole trilogy here. It was really good. This is the first book that was written in the Forgotten Realms, which now, the Forgotten Realms has become this gigantic thing with hundreds of books and role-playing games set in it. The Baldur's Gate thing, everything is attached to it. But this is where it started. And if you like that Forgotten Realms thing, Baldur's Gate stories, stuff like that, yeah, check out the Moonshae trilogy from Douglas Niles. It's very Celtic inspired fantasy and just good fun reading. I really like that trilogy. Top 10 here. This is the best of the best. Number 10, Max Brooks. Devolution, de-evolution. I don't know. Words are hard. But Max Brooks is kind of known for writing World War Z. But this is his story about a Sasquatch attack on a village of people. And I did not know that I needed more Sasquatch violence in my life, but yes, I do. And after having read this and talked about it, few people gave me recommendations for other Sasquatch attack books, and I went and bought them because I'm like, I need more of this. So if that sounds like you would have fun hearing Sasquatches rip people apart, check that one out. Number 9, Heaven Chronicles from Joan D. Vinge. This is 2 novellas that are both set in the heaven system. This really blew me away. I could not believe how good this was. If you're a fan of space opera, soft science fiction, you come across a copy of this, do yourself a favor and check it out. These were 2 really superb stories. I need to read more Joan D. Vinge. I know she had won a Hugo Award for The Snow Queen. That's the Snow Queen series is compared to like Dune, but instead of a desert world, it's like a water world. So I got to check that out. But yeah, that was super, super cool. Number 8, The Cave Girl from Edgar Rice Burroughs. Now this is just good old men's adventure fun. Look, there's plenty of books out there for women, right? Well, there's you want something with love triangles and sexy vampires in it and stuff. There's all that. But us men's, we need a good book with a dorky weakling dude that's forced into a situation where he's got to man the fuck up and beat down some savages to rescue the woman he's fallen in love with. Yeah. So if you have a Y chromosome, you need to read The Cave Girl. Cool book. Number 7, The Ruins from Scott Smith. This has been made into a horror movie you may have heard of. I buddy read this with Kat from Ginger Bibliophile. I think I like this a little bit more than she did, but I love body horror, and it's got all kinds of really gross, nasty body horror stuff in it. Cool story about some kids vacationing down in Mexico, and they go to some Mayan ruins, and some really bad things happen to them. So if you like that kind of horror stuff with some gross body horror to it, yeah, The Ruins was a lot of fun. Number 6, Childhood's End, Arthur C. Clarke. This is one of those classic science fiction books from the 50s. My first experience with this was actually the mini series that came on Sci-Fi Channel like 10, 15 years ago, something like that. I thought it was a really cool concept to it, and wanted to read the book. And yeah, it's a classic of science fiction for sure. Makes you think about an alien invasion and the effect that it has on the people of the world and that. So neat. Top 5. Here we go. Song of Kali from Dan Simmons. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Dan Simmons, another one of those authors. So I buddy read this with Angelina from Books Do Things to Me, and we both just were really impressed with the quality of this. Horror book set in India, Calcutta specifically, and just about like an ancient deity, a cult of people that still worship this ancient deity, and the bad things that the main character goes through in that. So kind of a thriller-esque sort of horror, and really unsettling in a lot of ways. So well-written horror book. I like that. Number 4, Indigara from Tanith Lee. Yeah, you know there's going to be some Tanith on my list here. This hit number 4. This is one of her kind of written for YA audiences, but here I am with a gray beard and that, and I still love this. I mean, so I would call it more like all ages sort of fantasy tale. And there was all kinds of cool Hollywood references to it and all kinds of neat things. And The main character Jet has this robot dog companion Otis that was super cool, and just lots of unique things. Tanith Lee's writing just works for me for whatever reason, and this story was a surprise. Just it's not one people really mention of hers at all, but if you want like just a cool all ages fantasy tale to start off with, check that out. It's only like 100 pages, so it's an easy read and really really good book. Number three, I have Michael J. Sullivan's Legends of the First Empire series. So this is book one. Age of Myth is book one of six of them. I would say the first three books were pretty strong. I really enjoyed them, but it was the books 4, 5, and 6 where it just got so good. Like I hear mixed opinions on this series. Some people don't like it. Some people prefer his this is like a prequel series to another series he wrote earlier about later events in that, but it stands on its own. If you want to just read this series, I thought it was fine just how it is. And if you like good epic fantasy, I really really love this series and super memorable characters that's very lovable kind of characters that you just get super attached to and root for throughout the entire series. And it's just so well done. He had actually written out the outlines in first drafts for all six books before publishing the first one. So then that way he can go through and like make sure all the things are connected from book one to book six and everything in between, all the different little storylines and separate off webs in that. Everything connects so perfectly and is just wonderfully done. So if you like epic fantasy, at least consider Michael J. Sullivan's Legends of the First Empire. So I like that a lot. Number two is the one I mentioned earlier, Bird Box from Josh Malerman. Man, this just hit me hard. I had no idea. I was like, okay, I'm gonna read a horror book, but this did so many things well. It was one of those that just gave me the willies, like the visuals it gives you. It's just something magical about this book. I've heard about there was like maybe a Netflix or somebody made a movie about it and stars Sandra Bullock or something, but it doesn't make sense to me because the creatures in this cannot be seen. They drive people mad. So everybody's blindfolded the whole thing. So what makes the book so scary is none of the characters can see anything. They're intentionally blinded through the entire story, and that's what makes it so horrifying to imagine. So I don't know why they would adapt it to visual media like that. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't even want to like watch the movie because I'm just worried it's just not going to meet my expectations because this book was just so damn good. So if you want to try a good horror book, modern horror, check out Bird Box. I was not disappointed with that. And then number one, my very favorite read of 2025 was from James Stoddard, The Nightland, A Story Retold. So the original The Nightland was written by William Hope Hodgson in like 1912. Now, there was some issues with that book. It was very, very repetitive. It used a archaic language that he did intentionally for reasons in the book, and some of the relationship dynamics were kind of cringy for the time. So I had tried reading the original and I could see that it was one of the greatest stories ever told, but there was issues with it that just honestly I couldn't finish it. But James Stoddard decided to do a retelling of it. So he actually cut the length in half, so really cut the fat around the edges and wrote it with a language that's more appropriate for modern readers and everything. And I think this turned out to be an absolute masterpiece. Every time I start a new book and open it up to page one, this is the kind of experience that I'm hoping to have. It just did so many things right in it. Good quest story. Fantasy readers will like it. The setting was so beautiful. This is a master class in world building in under 300 pages. he made this world with so much lore and history and culture and everything going on and creatures and all kinds of neat stuff, and did it right. I wish more fantasy and science fiction authors of today would learn from something like this, just how much you can fit into a 300-page book. And there's a love story in it that goes throughout it that was just beautifully done. I usually don't care about those kinds of things, but it was beautiful. Very well done. So usually on every book when I'm reviewing it, I try to give a recommendation of who I think what type of readers will like the book and what types won't. But this is one of those that I feel like if you're at all into fantasy or science fiction or horror that involves science fiction, any one of those genre type of readers, this is one definitely worth checking out. It's one of the best stories I've ever read in my life. So that's it. That's my top 25. I hope that helps you guys out. I've done reviews on all of these. Check them out if you want to see further information about them, and let me know what you think of them. All right, and I'll see you heroes later.